Good evening, it's Jules Wyman here from juleswyman.com. How are you doing? I have just realized that I am, because I'm using this on my computer, things are looking slightly different to how they would do normally, and I haven't got everything switched off, so I'm fiddling. I do apologize, which means my eyes are darting around all over the place. I'm not giving you my full attention yet, so I apologize. So how are you doing? And I've got this wonderful stream of light. I don't know quite why. That's never appeared before. Don't know what that is. Something magical, something mystical, or probably just something scientific that's going on with the light above me. No idea why. And if there is somebody watching called Tracy, who she may watch at some point, I don't know. I just wanted to show you the picture that she painted that I brought home from the retreat that I was at in Spain the other week. And it's now hanging on my wall. It actually looks quite tiny at that angle. It's not tiny at all. So good evening, and how are you doing? I know that there are plenty of you that watch this on the recording. And whilst I am waiting for those of you who do join live every week, I'm just going to do a quick check that this is all happening, except I can't remember which button I press, which is always interesting. No, can't remember. There we go. Hang on a second. Because usually I do this on my phone, so I usually have it on my computer at the same time, so I'm not sure whether it is. Yes, it is. It's happening. It's there. It's going out on the airways, which is great. So for those of you, as you're joining, do drop in and just say hi wherever you are, because it's always lovely just to be able to give people a shout out wherever you are in the world. We have people joining from various places around the world, and I know that there are a number of you that join live. There are a number of you that make it a regular thing of dropping in whilst you're having your breakfast, walking the dog, having a shower, on your drive into work the next day. So hello to you as well. Hey there, Sarah. I literally just got your email, so I shall reply to that as well. So this evening, it's as you may or may not know, and if you don't know, how can you not know? But I know also that I have been, because I've been doing a lot of speaking gigs over the last sort of 5, 6, actually probably about near 8 weeks at various different places. And I've had such a fun time meeting a variety of people from all different walks of life. And what I find fascinating is how similar, because every talk I've done has been the truth about confidence, and it's then been tweaked slightly for the audience. But what's been amazing is how frequently the same questions come up over and over again, and it always fascinates me. They may be worded slightly different, and they may relate to the situation in a slightly different way because it's a different circumstance, but it's very similar things that come up over and over again. And that fascinates me. The more I work with humans, the more I recognize that we are so similar, and we do experience very similar situations and thought processes, which I find fascinating. So why was I telling you that? Because of the questions that get asked, that's why. And what has been fascinating for me as well is looking at the requirements that people have when they need that information being shared as well, which is quite an interesting one. But the other main reason I was saying that, I've just remembered now, was because there's been a lot of new people coming onto the page. So there may well be some of you either watching live now, or that come on later and watch the recording, or join partway through, that are new to the page. So those of you who are new to the page, good evening and welcome to the Confidence Conversation, which happens every Monday night at 7 p.m. UK time. And usually I bring a topic to the conversation. So that could be anything. And quite often those topics come out from themes that either I've been working with clients. I'm just going to tip that camera down a little bit. Working with clients, and there's just like these current of themes, or it may come out of some of the questions, as I said, that have been asked by people recently in some of the talks. But on the last Monday of every month, we do a open forum. Now, the open forum is a space for you to be able to ask any question that you may have. Hi, Lindsay. Ask any question that you may have. The only rule really is not to ask me something on sport, because I'm not great on sport at all. So that would be painful for yourself if I struggle to try and answer something in that sense. But, you know, in relation to the work that I do as a confidence coach, as somebody who has been through personal development for at least 15 years, been doing various different spiritual work for the last probably about 20 years. So I've experienced a lot of different things. I've gone through lots of things that so many people do life-wise, you know, relationship breakups, marriage breakups. Well, breakup, only had one marriage breakup because I've only been married once. Health challenges, people passing away, very close friends dying, all of that kind of thing. So life challenges, curveballs. And they may be something that you've experienced that you think, well, hang on a second, how did I go through that? Or how have I got any tips or tricks that I use to get through a situation? Or you might have a particular situation, a decision or a dilemma that you're not sure of how to come to that conclusion, come to that decision with. So if that's the case, they're the kinds of questions that I'm asking for, because the sport ones wouldn't just not be a good idea, really and truly. And I have the intent, and the reason I'm talking a lot, by the way, actually I haven't given you this permission. Don't wait for me to say, so who's got a question? I'll ask it now, in fact. Who's got a question? If you've got a question, or even if you've got a topic, it doesn't have to be that specific, then drop it down into the box, and so that we can get things started. At any point, feel free to chip in, to share, to ask questions, to comment, whatever it may be. Don't just wait for me to invite you to. And that goes with saying hello. And also, if you're watching this on the recording, then feel free to ask your questions on there too. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to answer them live, but it may be that they can become topics for future confidence conversations. So please don't wait to be invited. You have my full permission now to type away and ask any questions, because there's two things that I want to share with you. And before I do, what I will let you know is I do not have anything prepared for this evening, because it is an open forum. And therefore, I do have the, I don't know what the right way of phrasing it is. I do have there is the possibility that there may not be a question that could change your life, because it doesn't get asked. And I think that as I would if I was working with you one-on-one, or even if I was in a workshop, I'm quite happy to create that silent space for you to think about what question could help change your life, or what answer could change your life, and therefore what could the question be. So I'm quite happy to create that space for you as well. So if it means that we sit in silence, then we sit in silence. My intent for the confidence conversations every Monday night, and they've been going for June, July, August, September, October. They've been going for about 17 months now. So 17 months? Yeah, I think it's 17 months. I don't think we've passed 2-year mark, but we may well have done. I don't know. Anyway, they've been going for a while. There are about, if you look on the video tab on the page, there you'll see that the other videos are there. So you can go back and reference them at any point as well. So my intent for setting this up, my intent for starting this, was because I had a lot of people who, and I've been in this situation myself, where I really wanted to make a change in my life, but didn't know where to start or how to do it, or more specifically at that moment in my life, I didn't have the funds. And that was a big thing for me, because I was listening to these great teachers, and even really at that point, purchasing a book was a bit out of my reach, because I didn't even have the funds for that. I was really not financially in a great place. But what's great about the era that we live in, I can sit and moan about all the challenges and the complications that social media bring, etc., etc. But actually, social media provides this forum. You know, social media gives me the opportunity to be in your living room or wherever you're with me at this moment in time, and me to welcome you into my home, which is where we are at this moment in time. And it just gives me the opportunity to be able to do that. And it doesn't cost me anything, and it doesn't cost you anything. All it is an investment of your time. And I wanted to create that space to be able to reach as many people as possible. So my invitation is, when you're listening to any of the videos, when something resonates with you, or it may be that you think, oh, do you know what, so-and-so could really do with listening to this, then please share the videos, just the same you would do of the cat falling down the stairs, or the, you know, the baby singing Bohemian Rhapsody, which is something I shared today. You know, just in the same way that you would share those kinds of videos, share these kinds of videos too, so that we can help people recognize that even if they feel that they haven't got the finances to invest in something to make a change to themselves, that they can invest their time. And actually, that's the one commodity we can get money back, but actually time we can never get back. So that's really important for us to be able to invest with that. So Lindsay asks or says, I'm still intrigued by the question I posed at the WRA on Wednesday. So the WRA is launched last Wednesday in Birmingham, and it stands for the Women's Recycling Alliance. And I was their opening speaker and did a workshop for them last Wednesday, which was just ridiculous amounts of fun. So Lindsay says, I posed a question at WA on Wednesday about overcoming or building confidence whilst dealing with mental health. I do remember that now, Lindsay, thank you. I think it's a big conversation starter at the minute and something I could benefit greatly from. I mean, is that even a barrier, or am I thinking about it wrong? Not sure what that last bit means. Can you clarify the last bit for me, Lindsay? So I do remember your question, and I remember you, lovely lady from over in Belfast, if I remember correctly. So overcoming or building confidence whilst dealing with mental health. So it is a big topic and a big conversation, and I don't profess in any way, shape or form to be a mental health expert. I do think that there are a lot of things that are being labelled as mental health issues that are more thinking issues than they are mental health issues. I'm not disputing that things may show up in a really challenging way, and it may be causing disruption in someone's life, or be uncomfortable or even tough. And I think we are not taught as human beings, as you know, we go through school, unless we are blessed to have a teacher, family member, or somebody, you know, one of those well-meaning big adults around us that give us the clarity that we create our emotions. And I think that's the first thing, that if I was going to have a conversation with somebody about the mental health side of things, was actually start to check in with them, or have a conversation initially around whether they are aware what goes on with regards to their thinking and then emotions. So one of the questions that I ask people often is, where do emotions come from? And quite often people will say, well, emotions come from the heart. I don't believe that emotions do come from the heart. My understanding of how we work as human beings is that emotions, and there is a distinction between an emotion and a feeling, and the challenge with that is obviously we use the language sort of like, I can't think of the right words, interchangeably. But an emotion, the distinction that I hold for myself is that a feeling is something. Now, for some of you, I might have made you jump, or the noise that I made might have made you jump. And I apologize if you were driving or anything like that, or carrying a hot liquid. I really do apologize. But that, whatever you experienced in that moment, creates a sensation, which is a feeling. Now, that sensation, that feeling, only lasts for a few seconds. That is what would be classed as a true feeling. But then what could happen on top of that is that then the brain takes over, or rather thinking takes over, and it launches into, oh, I hate it when people make me jump, and I wish you'd have given me notice about doing that, and it really annoys me when people do this, and I remember when so-and-so did that to me, and I did that, and blah, blah, and before we know it, we've gone off into a story about what we experienced, which then creates the emotion, and it perpetuates this emotion. But we assume, because then the emotion, the thinking creates the emotion, which signals to the body to do certain things, whether it's releasing chemicals, whether it's getting your breathing to change or your heart rate to change. The thinking then signals that into the body, and then because that's going on, that then signals back to the brain, and then more thinking goes on, which then signals back to the body, and then this emotion, before we know it, we're in this cycle that can seem really challenging to get out of. And, you know, whether that is something that's classed as depression or anxiety or panic attack or deep sadness or whatever, and what then can happen is it can seem like we're out of control with that. And so therefore, it's something that we can't control. It's not something that we can do something about. And I would start to challenge the thinking and see if there is something else that you can do. So if we go back to the analogy that I shared last week, Lindsay, but also have shared a number of different points. Excuse me, also grab another drink. I've shared a number of points both on the videos, because it's something that helps me personally, is when you remember that confidence is like the sun. It's not something, therefore, that needs to be built. It's something that is there. It's just, if we're not experiencing it, those clouds have got in the way, and they may be really beautiful, wispy, cotton thready kind of clouds, or they may be thick, black, dark, really hard to see through clouds. The first thing to remember is, no matter what density those clouds are taking, that's the thoughts, is to remember that your confidence is there somewhere. It is there. So it's not about building it, but it is about then accessing it. So I would find a process, and whether you do this for yourself through journaling, or whether you do this through working with somebody, whether that is a counselor or a coach or a mentor or somebody, is start to get clarity on what those thoughts are. And the key with it is not make those thoughts right or wrong. Just get clear on what those thoughts are. And then, as I was saying last week, is then start to look at, okay, well, what could be another way of looking at this situation, or how would somebody else look at this situation? Because if, you know, the book that just literally flashed in front of my eyes then was Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. Now, whether you've know the book or not, it might be a great book for you to read. It's only a small book. It's got some very profound things in there. And Viktor Frankl was a Jewish therapist who was captured and put into a concentration camp. And what his experience of that time was, he realized how the other prisoners were thinking about things really impacted their health, and ultimately whether they survived or not, to the point of, I seem to recall, and I apologize if I get some of the facts incorrect, him sharing about one particular person who'd had this vision that the war was going to end on a certain date. And the moment he had this vision, he lit up, and he was, you know, he kind of got a new vigor about this kind of crappy situation that they were in. And the days went by, and this date was looming, and then the date arrived, and then it passed, and war hadn't ended. And in a very short period of time after that, because his vision didn't come true, the man's mental, physical health declined, and he died very suddenly. And Viktor Frankl was looking at this, at where people found a purpose within that really tough situation, it gave them a different way of relating to it, and gave them a focus, and it impacted their health, and therefore found their way through it. Let me know if this is making sense, not just for Lindsay, but anybody else as well. Just give me some thumbs up or some ideas. when thinking about mental health and confidence, should it be considered a barrier, or is a different way of thinking about it is what I meant? Oh, brilliant. Yes. Okay. So I don't think, and this is a broad sweeping statement because I think that mental health covers so many different things. And obviously I'm not going to pry into exactly what you perceive is happening, whether it's for yourself or somebody else with this. But it's about, I think for the majority of people who think or perceive that they have some mental challenges, I don't believe that there is a barrier to confidence or accessing your confidence. I believe it's about you shifting and starting to recognize that. And it may be looking at, okay, what can I do to shift this? So, for example, and bear with me because I'm just going to go and grab a book. Bear with me 2 seconds. And in fact, I don't know whether, I know he was on here earlier. I don't know whether he's still on here now. Gareth, are you still there, my darling? Because this is the book that I wanted to flag up. So something that I would say, Lindsay, is this is a cookbook written by two of my lovely friends, Gareth and Jerome, and it has amazing food in it. Now, including chocolate puds and all sorts. In fact, I need to make one of those. My friends asked me again. So just amazing stuff. It's not just about salads. It's way more than that, and it's a fantastic book. So there you go. There's the book. Go get it. But the reason I'm flagging it up is because both Gareth and Jerome had faced various different challenges, drugs, alcohol, and one of them in particular had some mental health issues. And one of the key things that has helped is understanding food and having a very different relationship with food and getting better food into their diet. But I also know that a lot of the work that he did around his mental health, and he still has challenges, but he also recognizes that he can look at things in a different way. He can take control of things and he can flip things around in a different way. So I hope that makes sense, Lindsay. Let me know. Give me some thumbs up. Oh, Gareth, you are there. So if there's anything that you would add to that, Gareth, then please, I'd really appreciate it. But that would be my very broad sweeping statement to your question, Lindsay. And I hope it all makes sense. So you said, absolutely agree about the logic of thinking. I've already found the ladder has worked both personally and professionally. Woo! I so love that tool. It's great. Working towards facts rather than fiction helps with every aspect of life. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, see that in and of itself, if you keep practicing that more and more, it'd be really interesting for you to know what then happens. I've worked with, one of the questions when I start with clients, I send out a pre-coaching questionnaire. And one of the questions that I do ask them is whether they're on any medication. And I am surprised at the amount of people that are on some kind of antidepressant, and citalopram tends to be the main one that is written down. But what I've noticed, and it's obviously not, I'm not medically trained, it's not my intention, but one of the things I noticed that as they go through the coaching program is that I'm trying to think, there's at least 4 of them that off the top of my head, that have, through using the tools, have through their own choice, nothing to do with me, have slowly started to wean themselves off their antidepressant and have got themselves back strong and comfortable, and then have gone back to the doctor and gone, oh, by the way. But they have noticed that they've been able to do things and shift things in that sense. So use those tools, Lindsay. I know you bought the book as well. There's some lovely little tools in there. The Splatboard is a great tool that, again, one of my clients who I know suffers with mental health challenges, she uses it all the time when she's feeling stressed or overwhelmed or panicky about something. That's a tool that she finds really useful. So that's another tool that I would suggest. So I'm hoping that's made sense. There's let's see, because I'm on my computer as opposed to my phone, I don't get to see the thumbs bouncing across the way that I do on my phone. Never mind, hey, I've got my shaft of light. What more could a girl ask for? Having a shaft of light beaming down. So let me know, does that make sense? And does that give you another way, Lindsay, to think about confidence again and relate to it in a different way with whatever you're experiencing? Just let me know. And Gareth, feel free to chip in. And I know I've said this a couple of times, but we really need to get one of these set up, I think, and have either just you or you and Jerome on here talking about health, but more specifically about your journeys and how you've turned things around and what you've done in your life and the amazing things that you've set up and the genius that you are. But anyway, has anyone got another question or a final question? Because how did that suddenly get to 7:27? That's crazy. That you would like to ask anyway. What questions do you have? Whether it's specifically about confidence or maybe it's going a bit further into what I was just talking about. And whilst you may or may not be typing, but there was something that I wanted to flag up today, because it's come up in nothing to do with clients actually, but just some conversations in various different formats, kind of as clients, but not. It's hard to explain, but it's around responsibility and how we are so not trained, not taught, and certainly not conditioned to look at taking responsibility for ourselves, and how quickly we can end up blaming the external world for the situation that we are in. And even if it's the simple thing of making sure that you turn up when there are free things like this, or take advantage of competitions, or sign up to free mini courses, or buy books and actually do the exercises. I was gobsmacked. I thought it was a given that if you get a book and it's got exercises in it, that everybody does them, right? And it was only when I was talking to a friend of mine, she was like, oh no, I just read through it and then just skip to the end and take out any bits that I think might be valuable. And I'm like, really? Oh, I thought you worked from beginning to end and did all the exercise. I've also been known to be sat doing a course which had been filmed live at a venue, and as the guy's shouting out callbacks that he wants the audience to shout back, I've been sat in my living room shouting them out and as if I'm there. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a bit strange. Well, that has been said. But when we have to recognize that if say for example, if you want to change your health, as soon as I'm waving about the fuel book, and it's like your fitness, for example, is that sitting around moaning about being unfit is not going to help you get fit. Even buying the gym membership is not going to help you get fit. Going to the gym is going to help you get fit. Signing up with a personal trainer is going to help you get fit if you turn up and do what they are instructing you to do and follow it. But the instructor can't, the personal trainer or coach can't stand there and shout and scream and hold you accountable and you not do anything and you expect the change. And so many people do. We have to recognize that we need to take responsibility for things. We need to, when we're given an opportunity, even an opportunity like this, to ask questions. Oh, I've just realised there's loads of stuff going down there. I didn't know all those were there. I do apologise. It looks like we might be on here a bit longer. I'm sat here waiting for things to pop up, and I didn't realise it was there. So I'm going to cut short this and read some of these. So Lindsay says, we'll definitely look at the cookbook. Another topic I missed in it is I find exercise and a healthier lifestyle a key benefit to watching as I'm indoor cycling. Fantastic. That's brilliant. Gareth says it's about what we do with it rather than allowing ourselves to be defined by it. I love that, Gareth. We have a condition, but we don't have to do the condition, and we use it to our advantage rather than let it use us. Very true, Gareth. Brilliant. Love that. Really makes sense, Jules, and I'll definitely contact you on a separate note regarding the progress. Excellent. Hannah says, I find it fascinating that professionally I can be confident and with my children, but for myself, it's almost non-existent sometimes. So Hannah, what I would, thank you for those bits, Gareth, by the way. I really appreciate that input, and I apologise I didn't see it. It hadn't scrolled up on Facebook on my laptop. So Hannah, it is fascinating how we can be confident in certain situations but not others, and I think one of the main reasons that we experience what is classed as like a fluctuation or a shift in that sense is that it's to do with how we're describing that situation. There's a whole module on this on my Leading with Belief program, which you can find on the store if that's something that interests you, leadingwithbelief.co.uk, or on my juleswyman.com in the store section. But it's about how you're describing that situation. So, and I'm just going to use real world examples for me. So the one that springs to mind is that in my working environment, when I was a stage manager, I felt that I was always able to do my job and do my job very well. Whether that was true coming the other way, but I felt that I could do my job and do it well. I remembered what needed to be where and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying I never made mistakes, but you get the drift. But then what would happen is, and especially there were certain events or meetings where there are two particular women that I'm thinking of. Now, when I look at it from this perspective now, they are not intimidating women at all. They're not like, shoulder pad kind of power forward sort of women at all. However, they were, in my worldview, extremely intelligent, academic mindset, that sort of thing. And I made myself feel inferior in their company. So therefore, I could literally go from doing a show, working on that, and go from backstage to being in a group, and the one or two of these women would be there, and they were very lovely women. But I would go from kind of feeling like, oh, I can do this, to like a little kid, basically. And I know that I sort of behaved in a very puerile, childish manner, because to me that was my way of coping in front of these intelligent women. So therefore I was like, I couldn't say anything, or I'd go very quiet. And now what I can look at is the fact that it was how I was describing myself in relation to them. So I was describing myself as less than them, worthless, not intelligent enough, that they would never like somebody like me. They're far better, they're far more well off, they've got bigger houses, blah, 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 all of that stuff. So it was my dialogue, my internal dialogue that was shrinking me down and making me feel small. It was nothing to do with those ladies. It was all down to me. And my assumption is, Hannah, is that that's what goes on potentially for you. When you're in that professional realm, you're talking in a, I can do this, right? I've got this. I know what I'm talking about. With your kids, you're like, yeah, I've got this. I can do this. But then when it comes for yourself, and I don't know in what environment that would be, that you said it's almost non-existent, that I would say, how are you describing those situations? What's really going on for you in that moment? Because that's going to be why and how you're behaving in a certain way, which means that you're experiencing a lack of confidence, or your confidence, however you framed it, or that it's non-existent. Does that make sense, Hannah? I'm hoping so. So I think, now that I've realised I have to scroll through on here as opposed to just waiting for it to pop up. Hello to those of you who have joined. Jules has joined at some point, and Chris has joined at some point, and Kay, hello from the other side of the world. Are you still over? Well, you might not be over there at the moment, but hello if you're still on there as well. I probably need to say good morning to you from that side of the world if you are over there. And Hannah says, thank you, makes perfect sense. Brilliant. So what two really great questions, and thank you so much, Gareth, for your interaction with regards Lindsay's question and input there. And I am just going to give another plug both for Gareth and Jerome, but this is a fantastic cookbook. And I'll tell you one of my favorite recipes, and you won't believe that it's kind of healthy. Let me see if I can find it. I'm probably not going to find. Oh, is it that in there? No, come on. Let me see if I. There we go. Are you ready for this? It's one of my favorite things. Oh my good Lord, that is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I made it for some friends at a dinner party. And I've just remembered they did request that when I got back from the retreat, which is where the guys are in Spain, that they wanted me to make it again. We actually had to fight over who was going to take the leftovers. So good evening, Caroline. I'm just going to say hello to you, but I'm going to be signing off in a moment. Remember, as I said at the beginning, if you found any of this content valuable, helpful, in any way, shape or form, then please do share it so that we can reach more people and help them recognize that there's other ways that they can look at the world to support themselves moving forward. And also to invite them to like the page as well. And there's going to be, keep an eye out, because there are a few fingers in pies and things that I've got coming up over the next few months, if all goes to plan, that I will be launching on here. And yeah, doing some magical stuff, which I'm a bit excited about. I just need to get the headspace to be able to do them. So do let me know if you've got any specific questions that you would like to bring to the confidence conversation, or a topic that you would like covered, or maybe there's somebody like Gareth that you think actually it'd be great to have him on board. Gareth, we must sort that date out. So that we can have a conversation live and do that. But direct message me on here, whatever your topic is or your question is, and I will do my best to get some answers or tools and share those with you. Or if you would prefer, you can email me, jules@juleswyman.com. And of course, as ever, if there is anything that I've spoken about that sparked any other questions and you want to talk to me further about workshops or talks or one-to-one coaching, then please do get in touch. And if you are on the page regularly, you'll know that until the 31st of October, so 2 sleeps time, there is an offer on the one-to-one coaching where you buy 4 sessions and you get 6. So it's a third off. Which is great value. So if that's something that really you would like to take up, then get in touch with me soon and we can get that sorted. But in the meantime, please take care of yourself. Go gently in the world, and more specifically, be kind, because it's important. There's no way that we can feel good about ourselves if we're being mean and horrible and abusive internally to ourselves. So be kind to yourself, be gentle with how life is and what life is showing up. And every day you can make those small steps to make some changes for yourself. So have a fantastic rest of day, wherever you are in the world. You're looking forward to the next one, Lindsay. I'm looking forward to it too. And yeah, have a great rest of day or evening, wherever you are. And I look forward to catching up with you next Monday, right here, 7 p.m. And yeah, take care. Have a great week. See you later.